Hello everybody, welcome to Speak Votomi. Thank you so much for joining me. If it's your first time here, you are absolutely welcome. Once again, this is a place and platform where we speak about everything that's got to do with life. So today I thought it would be befitting to chat about rejection. I think it's something that we have all experienced in one place or another. But before we get into that conversation, I just want to say thank you so much to the Saint Twins for having me on their YouTube channel. It's called The Saint Twins, and my video came out yesterday on there. I've been through the most segments, so please do check it out. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback. So now we can go into the conversation about rejection. Rejection is a lot. I think for me, one of the first times that I remember experiencing rejection was in grade 6. You know, by then I was always one of those kids. I was always like an overachiever. I loved, doing things right. I loved, anything that had to do with academia or just being in leadership position. That was always something that enticed me. So for me, this was a pretty big deal when they were selecting prefects in grade 6. And I remember, going, being very competitive at the prefect camp, it's a camp that helps with selection. I just remember wanting to do everything right, making sure my academics are good. I did everything I possibly could. Lo and behold, come the end of that year, I didn't get it. I was crushed. My grade 6-year-old self was so crushed. And my dad had tried all forms of motivation. I think I gave him, his pastor, I gave his pastor cap a run for its money, basically. So it was a very difficult thing for me to accept. And I think the problem with rejection is rejection causes you to look at what's wrong with me. Like, what is it with me, that caused me to not get this position that I wanted? What is it that is wrong with me? What is it that people didn't like about me that they wanted to reject me? And sometimes that is not the case. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we are the problem. I won't dispute that. But oftentimes it's not even the case. And next time that I remember being rejected, this was now when I finished, when I decided, okay, I was done with the medicine degree at Wits, and now I want to apply for this new degree and I want to turn over a new leaf, just have a fresh start. I go and I apply to all of these places, and I thought, I'm applying with my matric results, so everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Like, my matric results were good. The requirements for psychology are, beyond being met. Gandhi, I get there and most of these varsities are sending in responses to my email that I've been rejected, that they're declining, and then when I called to find out, okay, is there a reason that I'm being rejected? They were just like, but you failed at Wits, so like, what makes you think you're going to come and pass? That was actually one of the responses from the one lady there when I asked, and she was like, no, because you had Wits and you failed. I was like, no, but do you understand it was a completely different degree? I'm trying again now. These are my marks, can't we? And she was like, nope. If you pass your first year at whatever varsity decides to take you, then you can, transfer to us. It was tough. That one was painful because as much as I knew that it was the circumstances that were the issue, but I started to feel like, I'm the problem. And I think it's, to be rejected because of your past, like, I can't do anything about that. Do you understand? Like, that one was like, that was a knock. But anyway, then you come back and you try again. And eventually UWC was like, it's okay, we're gonna give you a chance that you needed. And here we are now. I'm in my final year and things are going pretty well. But it doesn't mean that the rejection doesn't hurt. Often when you've been rejected so much and you want to avoid all the emotions that come with feeling rejected, one of the things that I started to do was now I started to self-reject. So I started to reject myself because I thought and felt that the rejection from other people would be too hard to bear. I think one of the reasons that happens is because, you know, you just get scared of what if the other person rejects me. And that's what I've started to low-key do, and I think that's why the social anxiety is one of those things that actually I find myself, you know, being affected by, because I want to protect myself. So I'll self-reject and not place myself in those situations so that I don't have to have to deal with either the actual rejection that might come about or the perceived rejection. I know that in an example is in high school, when there was a prefect position. You get your normal prefect body, and then you get your head girl, head boy, the deputy. I remember not applying for those positions because I just felt like, you know what, let me apply for something a bit lower so that I don't get rejected for applying for that, because to apply to get head girl, and I knew I would have been if I had gotten this position, I would have been the first black head girl. I was like, hi, no, like, what are the chances? Let's just stick to safe, you know? And I look back and I regret it now. I remember even speaking to this one teacher and I was saying to her, I'm like, no, I'm not going to apply for that position because I know so-and-so is already going to get that position, right? And that teacher had literally said to me, don't do that. Like, really don't do that. You'll never know. Just apply for it. And I wish right now that I had listened to her. I really wish I had listened to her, but obviously I can't go back and change things. But it's just one of the things that I realized that I started to do. I started to self-reject, and now I need to constantly be checking myself and ensuring that I'm not doing that, that I'm not putting myself out there in whatever space it might be because I'm scared of being rejected. In next week's video, you'll see I shot a video with Agani, and I think it took me weeks and weeks to finally build the courage to ask him for that, because I was like, what if I get rejected? So I was like self-rejecting until like one of my big sisters spoke to me and just like, just do it, like you have nothing to lose at the end of the day. So I think, because of the feeling of being rejected, that's one of the things that one might start to do. You might start self-rejecting so that you don't have to face other people's rejections, and that's unfortunate, and that's not the best way in order to cope with rejection. Here are 5 ways in which you can maneuver and deal with rejection. And the first one is accepting that rejection is a part of life. You know what? If there are, let's say, 10 positions available for, I don't know, in whatever field that, you choose one. If it means that 20 people apply for this and they have the exact same qualifications, the highest degree of qualifications needed for this space, at the end of the day, 10 people are not going to get the job. Not because they are not good enough, not because they are not deserving, but because there are only 10 places and spaces available. And so at the end of the day, rejection for some people is inevitable. And that's why I say that rejection is a part of life, that we can't escape it. We are going to be in spaces where we're going to be rejected, either because, there's fewer positions available than there are people applying, or just because it was not your door to open. And we just need to get to a space and understand that, it's okay. And another way in which we can look at this is that you are going to be in a space where you reject other people, or you have already been in those spaces, and it's how life works. You just need to get to a space and a mindset where you accept that it's part of life. You're not going to get a yes for everything, and no's will come your way. The next thing is that you need to believe that God has better plans for you. This one is very, very difficult, especially when you don't see what those plans are, especially when you don't see how life is going to pan out. It becomes extremely, extremely difficult to trust that, God's plan is going to work out. Especially when you feel like, this plan that God has for me, I don't even know, like, has he Has he spoken to me about this plan? Has he made sure that, you know what, this plan is actually what I want for my life? You know, what if I don't like God's plan for my life? But that's, you know, a whole conversation for a whole new day. But you need to trust that God's plan for your life is good, that God's plan for your life is going to bring you the fulfillment that you need in your life, and that there's a reason why things are not working out the way that they should, or there's a reason that you're not getting this yes right now, or maybe it's not even a no, maybe it's not even rejection, maybe it's just not now, like it's not your time. So you just need to trust that God has plans for your life. Sometimes in order to cope with rejection, we need to be in a space and ask, what can I do better? By asking that question, you start your journey to being better, if that is possible. Like I mentioned before, that sometimes it's like you are not the issue, it's just there was somebody else. But sometimes I'm thinking about the number of times that I got rejected for the netball team and so forth. Sometimes it's a matter of, you know what, you don't have the skill yet, but if you put it into practice, and if this is something that you really, really want, if you put in the practice, if you put in the work, if you put in the extra time, you'll get better at it. And when the opportunity comes again, you will be selected. I realize now, going back in time, that I was never the sports person anyway. So I don't know why, you know, the pressure to go that route. But my point is that often we're not at the standard that we needed to be accepted for whatever, you know, the case might be. I'm speaking now in terms of job position or academic positions, but we can always go back and ask, okay, so what is it that I can do better? If you are, you know, in matric and you're realizing, okay, the grades that I'm using to apply to get to varsity, they're not so good. What can I do to get better? Okay, maybe I can get my maths, you know, to a better standard. Let me ask for help. Let me ask the teacher to help me here and there. And then you realize that by asking for help and by, you know, implementing all of these things in order to become better, then the door that is in front of you that you need to be open ends up being open for you, simply because you asked, what can I do better? And you started to implement that. Another thing that one can do is go where you are accepted. So this is mostly speaking in terms of friendship. I think a lot of the time I went, you know, I gravitated more towards, and I appreciated, I don't know, I just had a love more for certain individuals who were not, you know, reciprocating that type of love. And what I mean by this is that one of my closest friends that I have now, when I think back at it, she has been my friend for the longest of time. But I had, for the beginning of the years of our friendship, I never had thought of it as such, or just, you know, seen and appreciated her loyalty enough, because I was stuck on the fact that so and so had rejected me and not wanted to pursue the friendship with me. That, you know, and because that friendship didn't work out, and I had, in a sense, placed all my eggs in that basket, it really, really crushed me. But when I look all along, I realized that no, there was this person that was in my life, and I'm finally glad that I gravitated towards that space, because sometimes we, you know, end up feeling the effects of rejection a lot more because we continue going to those doors that were shut, you know, before us, and not, you know, pursuing the doors that are widely open for us. And I don't know what that means or what that looks like for you, but I think you are the one who would know. You are the one who would know, okay, what door is open in front of me that I am, you know, in a sense, rejecting and not gravitating towards, because I'm so stuck up on this door in front of me that has been shut. So go to where you are accepted. And the last thing is that maybe instead of looking at whatever the situation might be as rejection, look at it as God's redirection. You know, sometimes we, you know, feel that whatever space or situation in front of us is rejecting us, or an individual is rejecting us. And meanwhile, at the end of the day, it's just God's redirection to say, okay, this is not the path that I want you to take, rather use this path. And I realize that now, that, you know what, had I not gone through, what I went through in terms of my struggles with mental health and so forth, I would not have realized that mental health and psychology is something that I love and that I enjoy. I would not have realized that sitting in front of my camera and shooting this video is something that I would thoroughly enjoy so much. I would not have realized that, you know what, I'm thinking beyond, you know, when I become a psychologist one day, I'm thinking beyond the therapy room, and I'm starting to think about how can I have conversations about mental health in a way that people will listen and implement it, and to, you know, to reduce the amount of stigmas, and how can I continue to be an activist for people in terms of their mental health, or to speak about mental health for people who are not able to speak for themselves. I would never thought about those things had I not been rejected in the first career that I tried to pursue. And yeah, so sometimes we, you know, instead of looking at it as rejection or them not wanting you or a full-blown no, rather look at it as, you know what, maybe God is redirecting me. Okay, you know, sometimes when we travel on a road and we realize, okay, the road in front of us, it's a dead end. We come to a dead end. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're stuck or you'll never reach your destination. It just maybe means make a U-turn and find the new routes to getting to where you wanted to, or getting to a space of fulfillment that might not be the exact same space that or the exact same destination that you wanted to go, but make a U-turn and see, where is God redirecting me to? I hope those things help us, you know, to deal with rejection better. It definitely won't be easy, but I think these lessons will help us see rejection in a different light, will help us, you know, instead of seeing it as a full-blown no, will help us see it as, you know, an opportunity to explore something else, an opportunity to ask how we can be better, and an opportunity to change our perspective in terms of how we are seeing the no or the rejection. Till the next video, love you lots and stay blessed. Mwah.